I mean, they start on page 396 describing them. You got you got motor areas, you got sensory areas, and you got association areas, is what it amounts to. We need to know each of the specific ones. Where are they located? What do they do? Yes, they are. They're all on the slides. On page 398, you need to at least be aware the central sulcus divides the primary motor cortex from the primary somatosensory. Correct? Deep in the longitudinal fissure would be information either to or from the lower part of the body. The higher up you get in wrapping around the side, the higher up on the body you are. We talked on page 399, we talked about dorsal and ventral streams.
Can you pause for a second?
Hmm?
Can you pause for a second?
Sure.
What did you say about the gyres? I missed,
Okay, going back,
sorry.
page 398, central sulcus, one side's motor, one side's sensory. I said that deep in the longitudinal fissure, you're further down on your body. Look on page 398, look at the diagram. All right, on 399, we talked about the dorsal and ventral streams from the visual area. We talked about the motor areas. There were 4 of them, you remember? Primary motor, premotor, Broca's, frontal eye field. That's on page 401. You should know that language is based on 2 areas. It's based on Broca's and Wernicke's. What's Broca's? Broca's is motor. So in other words, it's controlling the movement of your mouth. Wernicke's is auditory and visual. In other words, you are hearing me speak and you can watch my lips move. That's Wernicke's. That's back in the sensory area, which would be post-central, behind the sulcus. So everything behind the sulcus is sensory. In front of the sulcus is motor. Where's the association area? Way up in the frontal lobe is where our association areas are located. We talked about multimodal association, where we're combining many senses to make sense of things. All right, let's look at. There's a lot of information here. That's why I'm trying to point out what you need to know.
What do we need to know? You said primary motor, premotor, you said you didn't even know about it.
Okay, on page 397. Primary motor cortex, what does it do? Premotor cortex, what does it do? Frontal eye field, what does it do? In other words, you need to know where each of those is located and what it does. Everything there on page 397. Those diagrams. Look on 397. You see them? You see each of the individual areas? I need you to be able to point them out on this diagram. And I also need you to be able to tell me what they do. For example, Broca's area. What's its function? Involved in speech, it's a motor area. It's involved in physically moving my mouth. So each one of those on page 397. Looking over on page 402, you need to know what commissural fibers, association fibers, and projection fibers are. Page 402, commissural fibers, association fibers, projection fibers. That's the stuff we just went over today. Incidentally, there's a nice chart on page 405 that tells you all the functions of the different areas.